you were saying off the air, what are you doing today? You going to build a fence line?
Yeah, so I've got a little place out in the country that had a fence come down. So we're going out there today with post hole diggers and wire cutters and tractors, and we're laying in a new fence line today. So I got my work clothes on, man. You know, work hard, play hard. That's the motto.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've got my radio clothes on, which is you can only see me from the waist up. Yes.
Yes. So but I know
God.
I'm wearing pants. You didn't have to tell me that. I obviously know you're not.
John Rich from the country duo Big and Rich. Let's start at the beginning for a minute, because back in the 90s, some people might not know that you were a member of the band Lonestar.
Right out of high school, man, I met a couple of the guys that wanted to start this band because we were all from Texas, and I opted to not go to college and instead jumped in a van pulling a trailer all over the U.S. at about 18, 19 years old, playing bass, and we wound up getting a record deal, and boom, there's Lonestar, right? So I went, glad I didn't go to college, because that, you know, that worked out well. My parents weren't real enthused about the idea of me not going to college, but, you know, I knew what I wanted to do, and that was looked like a possible vehicle to get there. And so that really kicked off my career in country music. And I went from that band, I wrote my first #1 songs in that band, to then down the road meeting up with a wild man named Big Kenny and starting Big and Rich. And, you know, it's been quite a run, man. Pretty interesting story.
I guess so. So, you know, Lonestar was in the 90s, and then you went off and did the solo thing for a while. So where and how did you hook up with Big Kenny? Because he was doing the solo thing as well.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of things that have failed. So let's just get that out of the way right off the bat. You know, I think sometimes people look at a guy like me and they only know the things that work, because those are the things that get their attention. But behind everything that works, there's 7 or 8 things that absolutely, totally failed miserably that you don't really know about. So a solo deal after Lonestar, I thought, well, you know what, I'll go out here and I can do this on my own. And it didn't hit. The songs did not connect. It didn't hit. And so for about 5 years, I was not on the radio. I didn't have a record deal. I didn't have anything going on. And I met another guy who had also had a solo effort that didn't go well, but in the rock world, and that was Big Kenny. And so we decided, you know what, let's put our 2 styles together, because we have all this fun hanging out. Let's make our music go together and see what that sounds like. It'll probably sound crazy. And sure enough, it did sound a little crazy, but it was also really good. And, you know, the industry didn't really know what to think about us or our music when we first came out. A lot of people said Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy shouldn't even be on the record, much less ever get played at radio. And we know how that turned out. So I always tell artists that you can't let the industry dictate to you what the music is. The music dictates to the industry. It goes the opposite direction.
Amen. You got to stay true to yourself. And what you said about not being successful, who is successful on their first try? You got to jump off that cliff. You have to take chances. And for every success, that everyone just sees the successful part. Oh, that guy's a multi-million-dollar ball player or football player. The time, the effort, the failure that went into being successful. Nobody talks about that part. They just look at the spotlight. But that first studio album as a duo, Big and Rich, 2004, 4 straight top 40 country hits. Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy. Talk about setting the bar high from day one.
Yeah, and that song went top 10. Can you believe that? Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy. Big and Rich, we've only had 1 song that went #1 called Lost in This Moment, big love song. But all of our other songs, it's crazy to play a Big and Rich show, and we can sing all these songs and look out in the audience and they know every word to every song, and none of them were #1 songs. So it's always been an interesting dynamic we've had out there with the industry. But at the end of the day, the rubber meets the road with the crowd. Like if you can show up there in Massachusetts and play a concert and they know every word to every song, that means you won. That means it connected and the music counted.
That's awesome. And yes, it doesn't matter what the number is exactly. Does it go number 11? I think it was, right? Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy. So an almost top 10.
Worse. Number 11 is worse than number 16 because you were only 1 number away from top 10. It's like having a number 2. It's like, I wish it would have been 7. You know, I was so close, but it's okay. Those things are just, they're plaques and accolades from the industry, and that's not really what drives artists to do what they do anyway. We do it because we want to impact you know, millions of people and connect with millions of people. And that's what our music has done.
And it gives you an opportunity to do what you love to do it on your terms. Once you hit this level of success, you know, the most successful, one of the most successful duos in country music for sure. And so you and Kenny doing your thing. But now, John, you're in Nashville. You can go and look at every other bar is owned by a country music artist. You know, people opt to do that thing. But I love that you went into barbecue sauce because, you know, you've done other things as well, and these opportunities find you. Who doesn't love barbecue sauce? I will put barbecue sauce on a burger, on a hot dog. I dip my fries in it. I'll put barbecue. I mean, I cannot wait to taste your barbecue sauce because I heard it's awesome. It's called Redneck Riviera 1776 barbecue sauce. What's this about?
Okay, so Redneck Riviera is my brand that.
Right.
It's apparel, it's boots. I have a whiskey, Redneck Riviera whiskey's down 48 states. And one of my favorite things to do, people say, what do you do in your spare time? Because I don't have a lot of spare time. I say, man, one of my favorite things to do is get out my big green egg, my big smoker, and sit out in the driveway or out in the backyard and put 3 or 4 chickens on it or ribs or whatever, and just sit there and watch the smoke boil out of that thing for about 7 or 8 hours. And so barbecue to me, sitting outside with the family and eating, that's always been part of what we do to wind down and hang out together. So I wanted to do a barbecue sauce, and I teamed up with this family-owned, fourth generation, family-owned American company called Red Gold. So if you go into your grocery store and you see Red Gold tomatoes, we've all seen those. That's the company. So I teamed up with them, and I said, hey, I love your company, and they loved Redneck Riviera brand. I said, is everything you sourced from the USA? They said, yes. I said, what about the plastic bottle? They said, we blow our plastic bottles right here in Indiana. I said, what about the salt? What about the apple cider vinegar? What about? Didn't matter what I asked, 100% made in the USA. I went, bingo, this is my kind of situation. Same thing with my whiskey. Glass is made in America, corks are made in America. So we tied into it, and my biggest hurdle was to get a recipe down where my 10-year-old son, Cash, would rather have my barbecue sauce than the barbecue sauce he's been eating. He's kind of like you. He'll eat barbecue sauce on a bowl of ice cream if you'll let him. You and him should get together, man, and compare notes. So I finally got Cash in a blind taste test after about 10 tries. He picked mine. He went, whatever that is, that's great. I want more of that. I went, boom, we got it. So we launched it earlier this year. We're in close to 3,000 stores right now, and we're in stores all around where you guys live. And of course, it supports Folds of Honor, just like the whiskey did, giving that percentage back, putting kids through college who lost a parent in combat. And to date, Redneck Riviera as a brand has now funded over 110 college scholarships in the past 2.5 years.
Awesome. That is incredible. So look for it at the grocery store.
Made it really easy to find the grocery store. So if you go to redneckriviera.com and click on barbecue, it's got a spot where you put in your zip code and hit enter, and all the stores around you will pop up.
Perfect. You've thought of everything. Redneck Riviera 1776 barbecue sauce. I don't get out very much. It's been quite a pandemic for me. Been dealing with some health issues. Can't really go around. It's nice to not have a mask, and actually I can't wait to see people in person again. But yeah, you know, we're going to take a ride out to the grocery store today. My wife goes into the grocery store. I sit in the car. She rolls down the window so I get a little air. With the other dogs, I'm looking around at the other animals sitting in the car, and we're going to pick up some Redneck Riviera 1776 barbecue sauce today. Thank you, John.
Excellent, brother. I'm glad to see your face too. You guys stay safe up there, and man, God bless America, right? Can I get a yeehaw?